Harry, I recently discovered Dr. Sheen Amar on YouTube, who is a carnivore. He advocates that eating fermented veggies with meals for gut. You think this would be beneficial or just not worth it? Look, dairy is fermented. Kefir is another option, you know, in terms of that sort of fermentation approach. Um, we basically, the thing is, the problem with plants is too many plants. The problem is it can actually interfere with absorption of important minerals and nutrients. I usually just use plants as a transitional thing because your enzymes and all setting up everything more as a transitional rather than advocating it for. I do have to say that, like today, on every fortnight when I go over to Dad's and have a meal, I do have some gherkins, which is fermented cucumbers. So and I like them, so I'll have one or two. So that's probably my only plant indiscretion for the fortnight that I do. But there are many other sources of to get fermented. Humans have always fermented and got important strains of bacteria. So I'm not against that. There are animal sources. Like the Inuit used to put a lot of fish under snow to ferment and actually create a fermentable fish. Even in places like even the Sami, they do something similar. You go to Norway, Sweden, and Finland, they've got very similar fish type fermented dishes. The Japanese have got certain types as well. Others have fermented meats or organ meats or stuff like that. So there have been a lot of fermented animal foods as well. It's not only plant foods, but animal foods. And it's probably a good idea now and then to, do some. I prefer doing sort of dairy-based kefir fermentation, which is something that I enjoy dairy far more than I enjoy some of these other forms of fermented foods. So that's where I try to get my fermented stuff, and I usually will throw in certain strains of lactobacillus, which is stuff that we usually tend to have far less, and most people are missing for a number of reasons in that regard. Yeah, look, I'm not a fan of promoting plant-based because there are anti-nutrients and a whole lot of other things in plants. Yeah, fermentation does remove and lower the threshold, but still, but I'll leave that up to you. I mean, I don't, but I don't basically say that if you do, it's going to be extremely deleterious to your health. It's not going to. I always view it the less animal, the more plant, the less plant foods I have, the less deuterium I'm going to have in my system. Now, the amount that I would be getting would be so tiny, it probably is irrelevant. But I'd say, yeah, the less I have, the better. I look at the camels; they've got very low deuterium diet, and they never show their age, and they live very long.